And we are one day away from the T20 World Cup. The start of it, of course, is between England and Sri Lanka. We've got Jeet joining us yet again. We are here to talk about all things women's cricket, all things T20 World Cup, whatever has not been covered in the preview, basically, our thoughts on what happened in the warm-up games, the pitch, the conditions, recent form, what have we made of some of the combinations of each of these sides, and importantly, why on earth are we now very sure that India in all likelihood won't be lifting the trophy? That and much more, of course. But Jeet, once again, happy with what you've seen in the warm-up games and excited for the World Cup.
Well, not happy for sure because the performances were so topsy-turvy for most of the teams and, kind of random stuff they were doing. Look, I get it. It's warm-up, so you are going to experiment. You are going to ensure game time for pretty much everyone that's in your squad. But it was still so unconvincing for some of the teams because I had high expectations from a couple of units, say, for example, Pakistan, the West Indies as well. India was also quite 50-50. So, in fact, I would go on to say that there were more questions that have come out from the warm-ups than they were before the warm-up. So yeah, a decent idea as to what some of the other teams are going to be doing. The only two teams that I felt were, pretty much sticking to what they will be dishing out in the main tournament was Scotland and Netherlands. Their batting from 1 to 6 was pretty much the same order that they'll probably be looking to exercise in the main games. So besides these two teams, I think all the other teams were looking to have all players get some sort of game time. So it was pretty much up and down as far as the batting order was concerned.
You spoke about teams that you're fairly certain of, in terms of at least their batting order. Let's also talk about teams that you're not entirely uncertain of, be it batting or bowling. Probably Team India to start off with, because used a bunch of players, did not use a couple of players, and we still aren't entirely sure what that playing 11 is looking like when they take on Pakistan on Sunday.
Yeah, quite perplexing. But look, I mean, that's the point, right? Because you'll be facing up against Pakistan, and with all due respect, it's a weaker team. And so does the past record also kind of say that. So no matter whom you play, it's probably going to work out. Something that I mentioned with England as well, given their group. So it probably wouldn't really matter that much. But yeah, out of these two warm-ups, there weren't a lot to take. I mean, a couple of players that we were concerned about, say, for example, Richa Ghosh. She found form against England the second warm-ups. The idea of wanting to give Shreyanka Patil, Radha Yadav and Bharti Fulmali some game time also paid off decently because all three had a fairly decent performance as well. But these have kind of just made it a lot more perplexing in terms of whom we are going to opt for in the main games. The first game that India had in the warm-ups against the West Indies, out of all the wickets that were taken, it was only Shreyanka and Radha Yadav who combined for 7 wickets. So, I mean, these two players are potentially not even going to be starting against Pakistan. So, I don't think that was that big a positive, having your backup players taking the wickets and not your frontline bowlers. But there are a few uncertainties. Yastika Bhatia was tried out at number 3 today again, batted number 4 against the West Indies. And she looked okay as well. Bharti Fulmali was not that great either against England. So I'm not entirely sure about what India will be finally going ahead with against Pakistan.
When we previewed the Indian side, we spoke about the fact that, Yastika at number 3 might not be the greatest fit. A suggestion that you had made right in the end, and something that we sort of felt was probably a better option to consider, was maybe pushing Jemmy up the order at number 3, having Richa at number 5 and Bharti at number 6. After the warm-up games, how are you on that idea? Warmer, colder?
I'm still okay with Yastika at 3. I think majority of the people are against having Yastika in the 11 at all because we talked about her issues post-power play in finding boundaries and how much she slows down. Plus the fact that she has just come out of an injury means that she's not 100%. So you could see that in the running between the wickets as well. And even in the field, you could see that you have to hide her so that there is not a lot of running for her to do. So most of the people are against that move, but I personally am still okay with having Yastika at 3, Chemi at 4 and Harman at 5 and so on from there on. But yeah, the alternative, given the fact that it's only Bharti Fulmali who could slot in at number 6 and number 7 in place of Yastika, watching her batting also doesn't give me a lot of confidence. Of course, the only thing being different is that she has brute power, but she only excels against specific lines or lengths. The stronger teams, say for example in Australia or South Africa, would be coming really well prepared. They would be knowing what to bowl at her. So this sort of a decision could actually backfire massively because you will be looking at her as one of the two finishers, right, alongside Richa Ghosh. So if that doesn't pay off, then we'll be back to square one. Then again, we'll have to go back to option A, which will be Yastika Bhatia at number 3. So at least to begin with, I don't mind having Yastika at number 3. If it doesn't work out, then I think the option B of having Bharti is something that I'll ponder.
Interesting. Let's see. I still am not very convinced with Yastika at number 3. And I don't think her knock versus England yesterday really helped her a lot. 15 of 17 despite starting early on in the power play.
My only question was, why does Nandini Sharma not play a single game? If she was somebody who had represented India for say 10 or 15 T20s, it was a different case. But given the fact that she just made a debut against England, the bilateral series, it was really important for her to play at least one of these two warm games. But I don't know what was the coaching staff thinking there. But given the fact that she hasn't played and Renuka has struggled as well, Arundhati played one of the games. Kranti played probably a couple of games. Now, given Renuka's lack of form or lack of wickets post power play, does India go for Nandini again against Pakistan? That again becomes a question mark. So purely from that perspective, I felt it was really important for Nandini to get at least one game.
Yeah, that was genuinely surprising, especially because how we even spoke about the fact that Nandini brings something to the table that arguably none of the other pacers do. Sure, to some extent, Arundhati Reddy. Unless, of course, there are some injury concerns that we aren't privy to, which let's hope isn't the case. Speaking of another side, that when it comes to, England, we spoke about Capsey versus Dunkley and how, in all likelihood, Capsey will get the nod. Would you say that the warm-up matches have all but confirmed that, we will be seeing a lot more of Capsey? We did see her keep as well, for what it's worth, versus India.
Yeah, no, the problems actually have increased a lot more, because before the warm-ups, the issue was, why is Amy Jones suddenly batting at number 3? And because she was delivering, it became a big question mark. Now she's opening alongside Danny White-Hodge, and she has again delivered against India. So the batting order that we were expecting will probably change again, because now Amy Jones might probably open, Nat Sciver-Brunt will come in at number 3, Alice Capsey will bat at number 4. So I just feel these were things that could have been avoided, that were they were not really necessary in terms of the balance or the order that they already had. Alice Capsey had already been doing good job as an opener. So did you really need to change that position? The only concern right now, other than that batting order, is Danny White-Hodge's form as well. After a bit of a break, she's struggling. In both the games, I think she was dismissed to a pacer with the wicketkeeper standing up. Against Australia, I think it was Megan Shute who got rid of her. And against India, we saw Renuka Singh getting the better of her. So she's looking a little bit short of form, a short of match practice. Even in the field against India, we saw her make a misjudgment at the boundary rope and let the ball go for a 4. So I think that is a bit of an issue, but I think now it comes into a territory where if Danny White-Hodge does not perform, then Sophia Dunkley comes in her place. So it could be interesting, but I just feel that some of the issues in terms of the playing combinations in the batting order could have been avoided.
All right. I mean, I don't think we can say the same about the next side, Australia. I think they are all but sure of the kind of 11 that we'll be seeing, at least from them. One thing, though, Jeet, when we sort of came up with their predicted 11 for the first game versus South Africa in Manchester, we'd gone ahead with 4 spinners, Alana King, Georgia Wyndham, Sophie Molyneux and Ash Gardner. All 4 of them were a part of it. You're still sticking to Alana King, or do you potentially see, someone like a Lucy Hamilton coming in? Because we did see her come up with some interesting variations in terms of her coming round the wicket to left-handers, her changing her angles, her trying something new. So any method to the madness there from her?
No, I don't think Lucy Hamilton will be in contention of making it to the playing 11. She was just brought into the playing 11 for this particular game just to keep her fresh and have some sort of overs up her sleeve. So otherwise, I don't see her being a contender to take over anybody's spot in the playing 11. The combination that you were talking about, I feel Alana King might still start. It's just that, again, where she plays becomes a big question mark, because the only available slot to replace a pacer would that be of Talia Megra. So are Australia willing to leave her out? That's the only question I've got, because I feel Megan Shute will start, given how well she performed against England. So is Kim Gar. And given that it's Manchester, I would still back Alana to begin ahead of Talia Megra. It's a brave call, but I think it's a call that could really reap a lot of dividends. Game 1 also, she did a pretty good job bowling in the power play, did Alana King. And against the West Indies, even though the numbers were not good, I think she went for 21 over 2 overs, but she was really good bowling against Deandra Doughton, and she was getting sharp turn as well. So at Manchester, we can potentially expect similar sort of conditions that we had at Cardiff. So yeah, I think at least for me, I would prefer Alana King over Talia Megra, at least for the game 1.
Fair enough. And to be honest, Alana King and Georgia Wyndham, they're 2 different kinds of wrist spinners. That way, Alana King, of course, is a lot more traditional, relies on turn and does get a lot of purchase, like we saw in the warm-up games. And it also, in a way, allows Australia to use Georgia Wyndham in the latter half of the innings, so they don't have to worry about that. So I think it makes a lot more sense, especially made easier by Talia Megra's own form. It's not like Australia are very trusting of her batting or bowling right now. But speaking about the conditions itself, Jeet, the games were played at, of course, 3 different venues: Cardiff, Loughborough, and Derby, of course. And none of them, of course, will feature in the World Cup. The 7 venues that are part of the World Cup are completely different. Whatever you've seen, still expecting the World Cup to be a lot more spin friendly, or do you think that we might see a lot more runs on offer this time?
I don't think they will be spin friendly. I think Bristol is the only venue where I see bowlers having some sort of help. Manchester as well to an extent, but otherwise Southampton and Leeds and these sort of venues are a lot more high scoring. Look, I mean, we are probably midway through the English domestic season, so some of the pitches would be a little bit used or played upon. So that is where it could get a little more balanced, but otherwise I still feel that it's going to be a relatively high scoring World Cup, at least for the first 60 to 70% of the games.
Are you hopeful of any upsets based on the performances we saw? I thought Ireland, Scotland, Netherlands, all of them put up really strong showings in the warm-up games.
I think, look, previously we have discussed how the warm-up games and the results that you get in these warm-up games are not that important, but I feel when it's a warm-up between two strong sides, then I think the result is a bit more irrelevant. But when a weaker team faces a higher ranked team, and if they are able to pull off a win, then you can convert that confidence going into the main tournament. I still personally don't expect any such upsets, be it Scotland, be it Netherlands, or be it Ireland. Let's not forget that these warms didn't feature some of the best players as well for the higher ranked team. So,
well, I'll be waiting with a cake in my hand to see Jeet proven wrong here, because boy oh boy am I hoping for a few upsets, and that's what will make the World Cup a lot more appealing to people like us. We want to see some different results. We want to see some exciting results. So all you European nations, and of course Bangladesh, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, I have you as well in my thoughts, don't worry. So please try and prove Jeet wrong, and to some extent try and prove me wrong as well, because even I don't see a lot of upsets happening as much as I want to say that we will see someone come up with something. Rest assured, I'm still very excited for the Scots. So Scotland, come on, I am backing you guys. Just come up with at least 2 wins, if not more. I'm trying to be as neutral as possible, but come on, 2 wins surely should be doable. Let's start off with, of course, players to watch out for. Quite a few names, to be honest, Jeet, and we decided to pick 5 players that we are looking forward to watch. Of course, we aren't going to include the obvious ones, so don't expect Nat Sciver-Brunt or Beth Mooney or Maizan Cup to be named here. We're talking about names who probably haven't lit up the international stage yet, or names that we all are excited about in general. So, Jeet,
I'll start with the team that's making the T20 World Cup debut, which is in Netherlands, and one of their vital cogs, which is Stay Callis. She's somebody I already talked about during the preview as well. And against Sri Lanka also, we saw that sign. I mean, she was amongst runs, and again, some of the shots that she played were quite superlative. Her entry point is probably going to depend upon when the first wicket goes down, but it won't be that big a difference. It's not that she's going to bat below number 4, but I feel she's going to be a vital player given the fact that they've got a game or two at Leeds as well, which happens to be her home ground. She would be very familiar to those sort of conditions, and she would want to convert that and score some runs. And I think Netherlands have got a fixture against India at Leeds, so it could be an interesting one. India has got some quality spinners, and Stay happens to be a batter who is really good against spin. So how that matchup plays out is something that I'm looking forward to. Number 2 that I'm going to go for is England's X factor, which is Danny Gibson. Look, she has been amongst runs, she has taken wickets, and she has taken some outstanding catches, since the bilateral series started against India. Given the fact that she has regained full fitness and is able to bowl at full tilt, makes a huge difference. Look, I mean, the planning against Danny has not been the best by some of the teams, but you could still see how much you can pay for it if you don't come out with good plans against her. She'll take the game away from you, and it won't take a lot of time. It's going to be in a flash, just like India experienced today. It will take her 12 balls, 15 balls, but the impact is going to be so massive with the bat, and the ability that she can hit sixes so cleanly, and not only on leg side but also on the offside, makes a huge difference. And her combination with Freya Kim down the order for England could actually win England quite a few games. With the ball also, we are seeing her pace has gone down a bit, probably due to the injury. She used to take the new ball for her county side as well, and now for England, of course, she has got a bit of a different role, being introduced after the ball, bowling those cutters, but whatever she has bowled has been good, and she is getting wickets. So a very, very valuable player to have, and I feel she's a proper X-factor player that England has got. Number 3, I'll go for a Kiwi player, and I'll go for Bree Ling, somebody that I've watched from the under-19 level for Auckland, and I was impressed right at that point in time. What she was back then to what she is now is a big difference. It's probably bound to happen, right? When you take a step above from the under-19s and then you go up to the senior level and represent your nation, you're bound to have a lot of development that takes place. For someone who used to primarily be an in-swing bowler, who used to pitch the ball up and clean the right-handed batters. She's gone to somebody who generally shapes the ball away from the right-handers or angles it away from the right-handers, bowls her bouncers very early, bowls her yorkers very early, and then mixes up with her in-swingers. So she's gone about drastic change, but it's a good change, right? It brings about different variety that New Zealand needs, a left-arm angle and somebody who actually shapes the ball away from the right-handers or angles it away from the right-handers is a good variety to have. Number 4, I've gone for Scotland's Darcy Carter, another player that I've watched from the under-19s and I was very impressed back at that level itself, when she used to open with Ailsa Lister. Back then also she was very aggressive as a batter, and the fact that she is somebody who can roll her arm over that tall right-arm angle of spin is a bit of a different variety as well that Scotland needs from, say, Catherine Fraser or Olivia Bell. The fact that, they've got Lee Kasparik in the ranks as well, as a spin bowling coach also helps Darcy's off spin. So, she's one of the players to watch out for as well for me. Last player that I'll go for is Sri Charni. Indian spinners are not having a good time. Let's face it, Sri Lanka was amongst the wickets, but Radha Yadav, Dipti Sharma, it's an issue. So right now, according to me, the leader of the spin attack for India is Sri Charni in a very short and young and raw career already. But I think the record speaks for herself. She has been fairly consistent and her numbers in England have been terrific. So I was just going through some of the numbers for left-arm spinners or the visiting left-arm spinners and how they have fared in England in the T20 format. And Sri Charni was at the top. She was amongst the best left-arm spinners to have ever, performed or ever featured in England. So a pretty vital bowler to have and somebody that India will be banking upon for the majority of the job given the form of some of the other spinners.
Sticking to predictions, of course, Jeet. Highest wicket taker, highest run scorer. What are your names?
I'll start with the highest run getter. I've gone for a safer option. I think you have to go for a safe option, right? Because these are the players who generally top the run scoring charts by the end of the tournament. So I've gone for Beth Mooney because you can bank upon her no matter what the conditions are, no matter what the situation is. And even in the Australian setup, she's generally somebody who anchors along and the other batter takes over the onus of scoring the runs quickly. The warm-up games, of course, showed a different pattern where she was taking on the bowlers and Georgia Ball played the second fiddle. And I saw quite a bit of a change as well in her intent in some of the shots that she was playing. She went a lot more aerial than she generally used to against the Pacers in particular right away in the first 5 or 10 balls that she faced. Somebody that at least I would feel a lot more safe around. Somebody that I know can bat 14, 15 overs pretty much every game, score at 120 or 130 and then accelerate in the last 5 overs. Something that she has done in the past and something that I expect her to do over here as well, where the conditions to bat are really well. And given the fact that she has the experience in these sort of conditions, I think it's going to make quite a bit of a change and would have quite a bit of an impact as well up top. Coming to the wickets, again, like a fairly safe option. I've gone ahead with Millie Kerr. My line of thinking over here is that the group that they are in has got quite a few sides that don't have a good record, not used to facing a lot of quality wrist spin. I think is going to be something that's probably going to work in her favor, and she can easily end up with 2 or 3 wickets pretty much every game. So even her record doesn't speak for herself. It's not the best when it comes to bowling in England, but given the kind of opponents that she's got, I think it's probably going to help her out as well.
When it comes to my names, again, with the bat in hand, like Jeet said, going for safe options just makes sense. And I've gone ahead with Sciver-Brunt. Sure, she's coming back from an injury, but class is class at the end of the day. And yeah, I will also have to say the fact that, she'll be facing the bowling attack of West Indies, Sri Lanka, Scotland, Ireland. You would imagine that these are bowling attacks that she would fancy her chances against. So yeah, speaking about the ball in hand, has to be Lauren Bell for me. Again, part of the host, and she's been in rollicking form, especially when it comes to T20 cricket. She's gone wicketless only once in her last 10 T20Is, and even when you look at her T20 record in the last 6 to 8 months or so, you include the WPL, you include last season's 100 as well, she's genuinely been doing good. And the same reasons that Jeet used for Millie Kerr, the fact that the opposition that we're talking about over here, Scotland, Ireland, Sri Lanka, West Indies, are not used to playing such top bowlers who have such good control with the new ball and movement importantly. So it would be a hard thing for them to contend with. So yeah, I'm expecting Lauren Bell to plant a lot of threes, assuming there are, those initiatives here as well. If they aren't, then it's all right. She'll definitely be amongst the wickets for sure. Before we wrap it up, top 4, any changes from the previews that we've done? I think you'd gone ahead with South Africa, Australia, New Zealand and England.
No changes. I'm a lot more confident than I was before after watching India in both these warm-up games. Yeah, look, South Africa didn't have the best of the games with the ball against New Zealand, but yeah, I'm not looking too much into it. Form is a bit of a concern. I know. I think Marzan Cap was not looking 100%. Shabnam Ismail hasn't had a good run, barring the 4-4 that she was able to take against Australia in one of the unofficial warm-up games. Otherwise, she's got pretty much smashed in all the games with a very high economy. So, when I compare it to India, I still feel it's still in a better position right now to help them out throughout the tournament and make it through to the quarterfinals. Sorry, the semi-finals.
Yeah, this is where I'll have to insert that meme from Sarfraz Khan. Yeah, my answer is also the same, nothing different. Of course, yeah, it doesn't seem likely that India makes it through. Neither is it the case for West Indies. New Zealand have been really good, so has been South Africa, England, and Australia. So I'm expecting that. And yeah, of the 4 semi-finalists that we've chosen, there's only one who hasn't lifted a trophy yet. So let's hope that side finally lifts a trophy. It'll be important for them to lift that curse off their backs. But I guess that's that from this video. Thank you so much once again. If you've reached till the end, please make sure you've hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Make sure you've hit the like button. Do go and follow Jeet Vachirajani on X. Do go and follow Women's Cricket Central and Why Cricket By on Instagram, X, and each of these platforms, and even Substack. For all of you lovers of articles, please do check out Substack as well. I will be publishing articles. I know last week or so I've been caught up with the previews. Unfortunately, nothing's come out, but don't worry. From Monday onwards, we'll be back on track with that as well. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until then, it's a goodbye from both of us.